Well, 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 who expected Captain Sleepy, otherwise known as President Cyril Ramaphosa, to actually do something quite bold? May not be so beautiful, but it's bold. He went and unilaterally fired, without giving any reason, the DA Deputy Minister of Trade and Industry, Andrew Whitfield. Now, the optics are great. I mean, he found probably the most placid, thorough minister that he could find to get rid of him without giving any reasons. Now, we know that there's many ministers and deputy ministers sitting there in our bloated cabinet that deserve firing. These are people that have stolen money. These are people fingered by the Zondo Commission. But instead, you go for the choir boy because it's from a different party without giving the reason. Now, Whitfield himself has said perhaps the reason was that he submitted, when our ministers and deputy ministers want to go overseas, they need permission from the president. And this deputy minister was part of a DA delegation that went through to the US in February this year. And he requested permission from the president, who then didn't answer for 10 days. So he went on this trip anyway, using the old silence is consent justification. And he's putting this forward as perhaps the president was really unhappy about him leaving, despite the fact that the president didn't answer his request for 10 days. So that is one possible reason, that suddenly the president realized, 4 months ago, this guy went on a trip and I didn't give him permission, so therefore he must be fired. If that was the case, he probably would have mentioned it. Option number 2 on the table, probably very, very likely, is that as the Deputy Minister of Trade and Industry and Competition, he sits at the heart of where money is being stolen in the country. That's largely through this Department of Trade and Industry, which controls a whole lot of beautiful things that you can get your teeth into, and you can get your pals working, and that's largely things around the lottery and transformation funds and trade deals and God knows what. And there's been a never-ending stream, especially recently, of bad publicity that has gone the ANC's way, most notably around the issue of the lottery, which we've covered before, or the lottery as I called it, where the company that was granted the license to print money, which is what happens to the operator of the lottery, they get to keep a staggering sum of money. And, it's like one of those jobs, there's nothing really to do but to make sure that the system doesn't go down. The system's in place, you're just taking over a system that's there already. So you're not really doing anything. But the department gave the tender to a 6-day-old company that happened to be run by one of our Deputy President Paul Mashatile's best mates, Moses Tembe. And then wait for this, as you all know by now, the Deputy President's wife's twin sister as the other shareholder. So it's nice work if you can get it. But this news came out through the Department of Trade and Industry, so one would imagine it might have come from Andrew Whitfield. So these are 2 of the options. I want to put a third one out there, and that is that perhaps Cyril has found partners ready to go into his next government of national unity, and really what he's trying to do is blow up the current government of national unity. I think this is most likely. I think that the president understands that there is the cookie jar. He can't keep people's hands out of it. People are starting to ask uncomfortable questions. Matter of time before they ask about cash in couches. You need some cover. So you go along and you get some of your old comrades who may now have started their own parties to come along as your partners. You make the situation with the DA untenable, which is exactly what I think has happened here. How can the DA stay in this government of national unity? They can't. And not only them, I would imagine any party that decides to stay there, if this is the reason that Whitfield has been fired, because he's uncovered or he's publicized these massive acts of corruption that involve the deputy president. You can't have something like that. You can't have a party that outworks you in the government of national unity. You can't have a party that exposes or holds your ministers to account, as Karabo Kakao has done to our minister in Kabani in the Ministry of Higher Education with their CETA deals. So I'm saying here that this has been done on purpose in a very devious way to get the result it's getting, which is to make the DA give the president an ultimatum. He's got, according to the DA, until tomorrow to dismiss some of his other suspect ministers that are ANC ministers. Well, he's never going to do that. We know that. But I think the intention here, quite simply, is to collapse the government of national unity. He doesn't want to be seen as the guy who kicks them out. So you make their situation untenable, that they have to leave, and the government of national unity collapses. And surprise, surprise, some of our old comrades are prepared to step in and form the next government of national unity. This is an ongoing story. It's going to get very hot. It's going to be, the next couple of days are going to be full of rumor and conjecture, but I got a feeling that our political landscape could look very different a week from now. Thank you for watching The Political Insider. Please subscribe to the channel. We'll see you again.